Imagine scrolling through your phone late at night. Just one more video, just one more reel. That's what you tell yourself. But suddenly, 20 minutes disappear. Then, an hour. And the strange part is, you don't even remember half of what you watched. Because the internet has quietly learned something powerful about the human mind. It doesn't need to give you what is meaningful. It only needs to give you what is stimulating. And the difference between those two things is slowly changing how people think. Look closely at what goes viral today. The loudest opinions, the most dramatic reactions, the most extreme personalities. The algorithm rewards noise, not depth, not wisdom, just attention. And attention is the most addictive currency on the internet. Because every time someone likes your post, comments on your photos, or shares your video, your brain releases a tiny dose of dopamine. A small chemical signal that says, do that again. It feels harmless. But over time, people stop asking one question. Not, is this true? Not, is this helpful? But something far simpler. Will this get attention? And that single shift changes everything. Because when attention becomes the goal, truth becomes optional. Suddenly, people exaggerate. They dramatize. They create outrage where none existed before. And the more emotional the content becomes, the more the algorithm pushes it. Until the internet slowly turns into a stage where everyone is performing confidence, performing outrage, performing happiness, even when none of it is real. But here's the part most people don't realize. This system doesn't just change creators, it changes viewers. Because when your brain constantly consumes extreme content, normal life starts to feel boring. Real conversations feel slow. Real people feel less exciting. And slowly, your expectations of reality begin to shift without you even noticing. That's why many people today feel strangely restless. They scroll endlessly, jump from video to video, but rarely feel satisfied because the brain was never designed to process this much stimulation. And once it gets used to it, silence starts to feel uncomfortable. Stillness feels strange. But the people who truly understand this system do something very different. They step back, they observe, they begin to see the pattern behind the noise. And once you see that pattern, you start realizing something unsettling. The internet isn't just showing you content, it's shaping what people believe. It's shaping what people value. It's shaping what people become. And the deeper you look into that system, the more you begin to question something most people never think about. Who is actually controlling the conversation? But the answer to that question is far more complicated than you think. And it leads to a realization that makes many people deeply uncomfortable. Because once you understand it, you start seeing manipulation everywhere. And that's where the story becomes much darker.
Now imagine two different creators on the internet. The first one spends weeks researching a topic. They gather facts, check sources, think carefully before speaking. Their video is thoughtful, balanced, but calm. The second creator does something very different. They speak with extreme certainty, they shout, they create outrage, they simplify complex problems into emotional slogans. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Most of the time, the second creator gets more views, more shares, more engagement, not because they are more correct, but because they are more stimulating. The human brain reacts faster to emotion than it does to logic. Fear spreads faster than facts, anger spreads faster than nuance, and algorithms understand this perfectly. They don't ask, is this responsible? They only ask, are people reacting? Every comment, every argument, every share tells the system the same thing. Push this further. So the most emotional content rises to the top, while calm, thoughtful ideas slowly disappear into the background. But the real consequence appears somewhere else, in how people begin to see each other. Online debates stop becoming conversations. They become battles. Every disagreement feels like an attack. Every different opinion feels like a threat. And once that mindset spreads, society becomes easier to divide, because angry people are easier to control than thoughtful ones. History has shown this many times. When emotions run high, critical thinking drops, and when critical thinking drops, manipulation becomes easier. But here's the strange twist. Not everyone falls into this system equally. Some people start noticing the pattern. They realize how outrage spreads, how controversy generates clicks, how emotional content keeps people hooked, and instead of reacting, they begin observing, quietly, carefully. They watch how narratives are created, how trends suddenly appear, how millions of people begin repeating the same ideas, almost like an invisible script. And once you see that happening, you can never unsee it, because the internet stops feeling random. It starts feeling designed, not necessarily by one person, but by a system built entirely around attention, a system where the loudest voices rise first, not the wisest ones, which leads to a question most people avoid asking. If attention decides what people see and what people believe, then who benefits the most from controlling attention? Because the answer to that question might explain far more about the modern world than we are comfortable admitting, and the people who understand that truth often choose something surprising. They speak less, observe more, and think very carefully before they ever join the noise.